Hey, it's Monster, one half of your dynamic hosting duo of the Nerdy Man Room Show. Proudly bringing you another Man Room short. Enjoy, and as always, please remember, viewer discretion is advised.
Oh, but jumping back to GI Joe, so I know we were both. I was bigger on the cartoon than the comic. Did you actually read the comic too, or were you just a cartoon only person?
As a kid, I was not into the. I'm ashamed to say this. I was not into the Larry Hama Marvel comics at all. I honestly didn't start reading GI Joe comics until what was it, 2001 when Devil's Due took over.
Yeah,
And I picked up everything from Devil's Due up until IDW took over in '08. I read all that and I loved it, but it's was said to be an alternate universe. It wasn't. I guess IDW picked back up with the Hama stuff, but
yeah, yeah.
you
IDW
know
picked
I
back up.
I didn't
But
I didn't read none of the Marvel stuff growing up. I thought the art was a little off to me. I've always been one of those that, especially in my younger years, I can appreciate it a little more now. In my younger years, if the art wasn't great, I wasn't reading it.
yeah, I can still read it if the story was good enough, but the art wasn't necessarily great. But what I found with the GI Joe comic, I have a few issues here and there, and I had I had the silent issue where they actually had no words. It was the entire thing with snake eyes, and I had a few of those like that were just, hey, I'll just pick it up occasionally. Just, hey, I see it in the store, I'm gonna pick it up and read it or look at it. And um, what I found though is it was hard for me to buy into it as a full series because I was so into the show, and then I read this comic and there's a separation between the two. They're not. The
Yeah.
comic's a little more serious anyway, which I was fine with. But then you look at it and you're like, okay, well, Duke wears this yellow shirt and got this short buzz cut haircut and this tight to his head. But in the comics, he looked just like General Hawk. The only way you told him any difference was that one was wearing a jacket and one wasn't.
Mm-hmm.
And the disparage between the characterizations like that and like what everybody was doing, and like in the show, you saw General Hawk show up and give a few orders, but most of the time it was Duke or Flint leading the team. In the comics, it was very seldom one of them. It was so separated. I could not get into the comics as much. It was just too far removed from the show that it took me out of
And I've
the
read articles
reality
where
of it.
Larry did try to stay within the boundaries of what that's along the path of what they were doing in the show, so to speak, within reason. But and because I think they had a major falling out after the movie,
Yeah,
and that's where he almost quit, the book altogether. But like I said, to me it was an art issue, and I guess it's because as a child I loved drawing myself, up until my probably late teens, early 20s. So if the art wasn't there, I just couldn't get behind it. Plus, I mean, let's face it, back in the 80s and 90s, Hassel was on a budget. So
yeah,
there was only so many books I was buying, because
yeah. No kidding.
I
Same
had to
here.
get my little allowance there, walk down to the store, the grocery store, wherever with the sold comics, and you had to like pick and choose. I was buying Spider Man.
Yeah,
I was buying X Men. So was the art and story good enough to make me put one of those two back and grab that, or you know what I'm saying? I mean,
yeah.
so
Well, and that's how I ended up with a few occasional issues because I was going to go buy X-Men, I was going to get Green Lantern, I was going to get Fantastic Four or whatever. But then I was like, oh hey, there's not as many books this week. I can get a GI Joe one because it's there, and that's how I ended up with a few extra ones just here and there. But I don't know, it just took me out of it too much. It was like, yeah, this is too far removed from the show that I just can't enjoy it as much. Now I will say, like you, I read some of the later ones, especially when Devil's Due did them, and I thought Devil's Due was a great one because it when I started reading it, I could pick up and it's like, okay, this is several years later. Like the Joe team's been
mm,
disbanded and they're bringing them back together, and Duke's been in the CIA, and several of the others have been retired. So I can say, okay, I can pick this up. Say it ended after the show or it ended after the comic, whichever one I was a fan of, because it was later time period.
it left a little gray area there to where you could still have it in your mind your show or whatever stories you
Yeah,
had in your mind. And Campbell done great on the art too. Those initial books
yeah.
that he done were, oh man, amazing.
Now I'll tell you what I couldn't read though that Devil Dudes did, and I started it, but that America's Elite, which was going to be a different timeline and a different reason for the Joe team and Cobra team to exist. It started out great, and then about the end of the first year, is like issue 11 or 12, you find out Duke's a traitor to the team and he's part of Cobra, and he's been. I was like, fudge,
Yeah.
no, you can have this book back. I quit right now. At that point, when
Uh,
several other people were traitors, I was like, nope, that you just ruined all my characters. I'm out.
didn't wasn't Chuckles wind up like being a major part of Cobra, or he was a double agent or something like this, and
I think he got killed in the first
Yeah, maybe
year.
that's what
I think he got
what
killed
it
in the
was.
first year, and you find out it was Duke who actually
Okay.
revealed
Yeah.
him and had him killed and stuff. I was like, nope, I'm out of this. This
I
cannot.
remember thinking that if it was good enough, I would go back at some point and buy the trade. And then the more you read, the more you heard, it was like, oh, I'm
Yeah.
separating.
Yeah, I will say now though that modern comics wise, and I'm too far behind on IDW to try and catch up, and it comes off of Larry Hama's stuff, but they also built into crossing it over with all the Hasbro properties that they were writing, which was cool. And I've got a few of the books where the crossover stuff happened, but I will say that this current book, the new Saturday Morning Adventures,
There we
I am
go.
grabbing this one. This one is fantastic. And this is like watching an episode of the show. I mean, this is the interior artwork, and it's like a show.
Oh,
It
sci-fi. There we go.
Yeah, it reads like watching the show, because you got like Bazooka's only like saying one or two line words after what's his name?
Alpine.
Yeah, after Alpine says something, and the whole plot of the first issue is they find a genie in a lamp, and Cobra Commander wishes for him to make one of his battle android troopers giant size, and a battalion of them giant size and then indestructible. It's like, this would have been a show. This would have been an episode of the show, no doubt. But
I might get behind that.
the very best thing I got out of it though was this, and I got to find it now. The last page is a straight on PSA. It even gives you now you know, and no one's half the battle, and it gives you the GI Joe ending credits.
That's actually cool. I had reserved that I was not going to pick up another Joe title until Kirkman took the property over, which is rumored. But I may have to go back and get those now.
It's only a 4-issue limited series. Only number 1 is out now. But I was like, man, this is great. This is just like watching the show. And this one is the one to me that I was like, okay, if I was going to say something really was a successor to the show, this would have been it.